So point slope form looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. M is still your slope, and then you'll have a point. You'll have a x value and a y value, a coordinate that is going to get plugged into that. So sometimes it's as simple as they say there's a line that goes through this point with this slope, put it into point slope form. What you're going to do with that is just drop those numbers in. So if my equation is this, it's going to be y minus, what's your y1 value? -3. Again, if it's helpful, x1, y1, just put a label on it so you don't mix them up. So y minus a -3 equals, the slope is your m. Okay, so that's this going right here. And then it's what?
4.
Oh, after the 4. X minus 2, right? So here's the thing with point slope. These two numbers, or these two numbers, shouldn't be numbers at all. They should be the variable. The variable stays in your answer. At times you'll plug things in. I'll show you that too. But when they just give you a point and a slope, you're literally just dropping the point and the slope in, leaving those as your variables. So this should be y, this would be plus a positive. So y plus 3 equals 4 times x minus 2. And that is point slope form. And I know it's tempting to want to take that and turn it into slope intercept form. I don't care if you do. It just leaves you more room for the potential for a mistake. You don't need to. If it says point slope form, leave it in point slope form, okay? So that will be your answer in point slope form. Don't distribute the 4, don't subtract the 3, just leave it like that. Okay, so you do letter B. Write the equation in point slope form with that setup. It goes through the point -5, 2 and has a slope of 3/5. What'd you get? Is it y plus or minus? Y minus the 2, right? Equals what? 3/5. X minus a -5, which is going to be plus a +5. So y minus 2 equals 3/5 times x plus 5. Okay. Why does what change? The -5, because it's x minus that -5, and minus a negative is always plus a positive. So the formula is subtraction. If you look up at that formula, it's y minus the y value, x minus the x value. So if your x value is negative, then we're saying x minus a negative number, right? So that's x plus then, okay? Okay, example 2 is a little bit different, and you can get multiple answers for these and they can both be correct, okay? So if you and a friend are doing the homework together and they get one answer and you get the other, it doesn't mean either one of you is wrong necessarily. If you're given 2 points, okay, and you're gonna write the equation of the line, whenever you're given 2 points, they're looking for point slope because you can find a slope and you already have a point. How do you find a slope given 2 points? We did it yesterday.
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus.
Yes. Okay, so you're going to start there. And this is one where I highly, highly recommend that you just label your points, x1, y1, x2, y2, so you don't mix them up, okay? So let's find the slope of this line. This would be 8 minus 2, y2 minus y1, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which is 3. Okay, so 8 minus 2 is 6, 5 minus 3 is 2, and then you just simplify that. 6 over 2 is, excuse me, 3. Okay, what is that? That's your slope, okay? Now we have to put it into point slope. So here's your options. You have 2 points. You have this point and you have this point. You have 3, 2, and you have 5, 8. You may use either one. They'll look different. They're the same answer, okay? I typically just go with the x1, y1 because that's what it looks like in the formula, but you don't have to. You may use the other one. So this would be y minus your y value, so y minus 2 equals the 3, and then times x minus your x value, which is also a 3. So that would be an acceptable answer. What's the other acceptable answer then?
That was minus 8.
Y minus 8 equals 3 times x minus 5. Okay, so either one of these, you don't need to give me both. Just pick the one that you like better. Pick the point that you like the numbers better. That's fine. Okay, excuse me. Letter B. What's the slope of that line? It's 7/5. Yeah, if we plug this into x1, y1 and x2, y2, right? We're going to start here. Plug it into the slope formula. So 7 minus 0 over, what did I just do? Nope, sorry. 7 minus 0 over 0 minus a negative 5. So that's plus a positive, right? That's 7 over 5. Okay, so that's m. That's your slope. And now you just plug it into point slope form. So what's one of your options? Y what? Y minus 0 equals 7/5 times x minus negative 5. So if it's minus a negative 5, it would be x plus 5. Okay. That simplifies because y minus 0 is just y. That simplifies to this. Right? Which feels like we should keep going because it's almost slope intercept, but this is actually still point slope form. So you can just leave it like that, okay? The other option would be if you use this point, the 0, 7 instead. So y minus 7 equals the slope 7/5 times x minus 0. And again, x minus 0 is just x. So you can leave it as y minus 7 equals 7/5 x, and technically that is still point slope form, okay? So simplify where you can. If there's a 0, just get rid of the 0, but leave it in point slope, okay? Questions on that? Okay, then we're going to talk a little bit about parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines, they'll represent with the 2 little bars. That's to show something's parallel. Perpendicular is that kind of upside down T shape. That's to show that they meet at a 90-degree angle, okay? So some things to know. Slopes of parallel lines are the same, which you can just reasonably think, yeah, that makes sense, right? If I have a line here and I have a line here, their slopes are exactly the same, right? So if they're parallel, they're equal slopes. Do you remember perpendicular slopes? I feel like, is this the flip it and rip it that Mr. Samuelson does? Does anyone remember that? Or maybe that's with a different one. If you have a slope of A over B and they're going to be perpendicular, they are what we call opposite reciprocals. Okay, opposite meaning if it was positive, make it negative, or if it was negative, make it positive, and then a reciprocal, just flip it over. So if I have, for instance, negative 2/3, what would your perpendicular slope be? 3 over 2. Make it positive because it's negative, right? Take the opposite and flip it over. Okay, so 3 over 2. The way the book says, instead of opposite reciprocals, they say negative reciprocal. But basically what it is if you take your 2 slopes and multiply them together, they should always equal -1. So that's another way you could figure it out if you want. I think opposite reciprocal is way easier. So that's how I will always refer to it. Flip it, change the sign. Okay, so this says write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. Remember, that's y equals mx plus b. That is parallel to this equation, y equals 6x minus 2, and passes through this point. Okay, so parallel, but passes through a given point. What are they trying to get you to see with this? If it's going to be parallel to that, what is important information there? The slope. Yeah, we would know our slope is going to be 6, right? So we want to pull out a slope of 6 for that. Then it says it passes through a certain point. So we have a point and we have a slope. They want slope-intercept form. So what you're going to do is you're going to put it into point slope and convert it to slope-intercept, okay? Use what you have. If you have a point and a slope, put it into point slope. So if this is x1, y1, and this is m, we're going to put that into point slope form. Y minus my y1 equals my m, and then x minus my x1. Okay, so that's my general setup. Now we can simplify that. So this would be y plus 3. I'm going to distribute my 6. So y plus 3 equals 6x minus 6. And then to isolate my y, I just subtract 3. So y equals 6x minus 9. Does that make sense? So we start in point slope and turn it into slope-intercept. Okay. Okay. Letter B. I'm going to have you try this one on your own, but I want you to notice this one says perpendicular to this. So you do have to do something slightly different, but most of the process is the same with one minor change. See if you can figure out the equation of that line. Perpendicular to negative 4x plus 2/3 and goes through the point 8,5. What'd you get? Anyone have it? Tell me what your perpendicular slope should be. It should be a positive 1/4. Yeah, perpendicular to negative 4, right? Flip it and change the sign. So if it's negative, you make it positive. 4/1 would be 1/4. So your perpendicular slope is 1/4. What is your equation going to look like? What'd you get? What's your y-intercept by the time you're done? Don't be bashful. It's okay if you get it wrong too. And most of you probably got it right. What'd you get? Nathan, what'd you get?
I didn't really understand it.
Sam?
I got y equals 1/4 x minus 28 and 2/3.
How'd you get 28 and 2/3? 32 minus 5? No. Okay. I'm not sure how you got the 28 and 2/3, but you're on the right track. It's 3. Yes. Let's lay it out. So you would do, this is your x1, y1. So it's y minus your y value equals the slope, 1/4, times x minus your x value. Did you get there? So you start with point slope, right? From point slope, now we're going to distribute. So distribute that 1/4. Y minus 5 equals 1/4 x minus what? What's 1/4 times 8? 2. Yeah. So then from there, just add the 5. You get y equals 1/4 x plus 3. And that is your answer. Good? Okay. I have to tell you, this next question is a joke in my family, in my husband's family. Did you know this, that the number of chirps that a cricket does per minute will tell you the temperature? It's actually a snowy something cricket. It's a certain type of cricket. But we told my in-laws this while we were sitting in my backyard one night, and the crickets were chirping like crazy. And my mother-in-law decided that she was going to try and count cricket chirps to figure out the temperature outside. And it turned into this huge joke because she was like, okay, I can't count that fast, so I'm going to do this. And every time I point, that's a chirp, and you count how many times I point. And it just went very ridiculous from there. But so I can't do this problem without laughing, all thanks to my mother-in-law. Anyway, example 4. So if it is 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the cricket will not chirp. Apparently it doesn't like the cold. If it's 93 degrees Fahrenheit, the cricket should chirp 240 times. It's a drastic difference, huh? So they're telling us X is our degrees Fahrenheit, Y is our chirps. Can you give me a line that represents this data? Anyone see what you have to set this up like, or how you have to set this up? If X is degrees Fahrenheit and Y is chirps, what are your 2 points that we have?
40, 0, 93, and 240.
Yeah, 40, 0 is 1 point. 93 and 240 is the other point, right? So you need to turn those points into coordinates, or that data into coordinates. And now it's the exact same problem we've been doing, right? What do you find first? The slope. So we're going to do x1, y1, and x2, y2, and find the slope of that line. So 240 minus 0 over 93 minus 40, okay? So 240 over 53. If you plug that into your calculator, we're just going to approximate. Whenever it's a real world problem like this, typically we say just round it. We don't want a fraction. We want something a little more specific there. So 4.5 is what that would round to. Okay. This one doesn't say what type of equation, so I'm actually going to give it to you all 3 ways just for a little bit of practice. Okay. We're going to do point slope form, we're going to do slope intercept form, and we're going to do standard form. So with this, how would you put it into point slope form? Which point would you use? The first one is way easier, right? Way better numbers. So I would use this point, y minus your y value equals 4.5 times x minus your x value. Okay, so point slope form would be y equals 4.5 times x minus 40. Okay, that's your point slope form. How do you turn that into slope intercept form? Distribute. Yep, you just need to distribute that 4.5. So y equals 4.5x minus 40 times 4.5 is 180. Okay, so there's your slope intercept form. How do you turn that into standard form? You want to get x and y together, right? And the constant by itself. Now, this is the thing I was talking about yesterday. You could subtract the 4.5 and you would end up with negative 4.5x plus y equals negative 180. And that's okay. It is two negatives and only one positive. So if you wanted to multiply everything by negative 1, it would be 4.5x minus y equals a positive 180. Slightly better. They're both okay. Okay? Okay, so with all of that, the question is, if it's 70 degrees outside, how many chirps would there be in a minute? If it's 70 degrees. What do you do? Which form would you use? Which form makes the most sense to use right now? Point slope, slope intercept, or standard? You could use point slope, yeah. Point slope or slope intercept, I would say, are the ones that make the most sense because your y is isolated and we're solving for y, okay? I would probably do slope intercept form. I would do y equals 4.5 times 70, right? Because x was our degrees Fahrenheit, so that's the 70. Gets dropped in here, minus 180. And when you plug that in, you get 135 chirps in that minute. Okay. Any questions on that? You guys are as tired as I am today. You squirt some water on you.